No, it was me. I literally couldn't see what I was painting. Acrylic versus oil is a hot debate going on at the moment, especially when I post these side-by-side comparison paintings of an eagle's portrait, done one in acrylic and one in oil paint. This is not a video about which is better. This is a video that explains the difference between my process in this specific video that I shared and went viral on Instagram. If you don't know me, my name is Carla Grace. I am a wildlife artist. I work in both acrylic and oil paint. I'm proficient with both, so I teach both of those processes that I use for creating wildlife art on my tutorial platform. So I filmed a beginner tutorial for how to paint the portrait of an eagle in both acrylic and oils, one for each, same reference photo. I posted the process of the painting side by side in a 1-minute clip on Instagram, and it went viral, sparking debates about which medium is better. However, I'm not going to partake in that discussion. You're welcome to have at it in the comments. I am going to simply explain the difference between the two videos here in depth so that you can see what my process was, why I did what I did, and you can then see the end results. So obviously I have created one in acrylic and one in oil paint. So the biggest thing that I want to point out about this particular tutorial between both of them is that we start off with an acrylic tone. It is the same tone for both. Ultimately, what we're working on is a dark foundation that has the overall warmth and the overall color that we need for our shadow tones. With the oil painting, we do our key focal areas with acrylic black. And the reason why I did this with the oil painting is because I wanted the darkest tones down first using acrylic paint so that it wouldn't muddy the layers that we use following up. And it enables us to do more with our layering as opposed to using the oil paint for the dark tones, because then we would need to let that dry anyway before we could add any more color. So using acrylic for the start helps us to progress in the layering process a la prima much more easily. Now the oil painting was done a la prima. This means wet on wet in one setting. So I wanted to show beginner artists how they can use oil paint to generate a realistic effect without any medium, without needing complicated layering processes. Just simply one sitting, here you go, you can achieve a realistic portrait without much complexity or fuss. It simplifies the process and makes it achievable, especially for beginners when this is overwhelming, especially when you're hearing about fat over lean and the different mediums and then glazes and dry time and oiling out. It gets too much when you're starting. So first, I want to focus on the technique, the color mixes and layering to get the most results. The acrylic painting one is one that was broken down into 7 layers because acrylic, you don't blend the layers together when you're painting, you layer them to create a blended effect. And then we progress on to the blocking in. Now I do the blocking in with both paints, acrylic and oils. So we're able to achieve that beautiful realistic finish because we're creating a block-in of both dark and light midtones. I'm not focusing on the purest black. I've already achieved that with my Mars Black on my canvas already in acrylic, but I'm working on my midtones. Specifically for the oil paint version, I don't allow my paint to dry before starting my detail. Usually you would do this. You would allow it to dry and then come back in with an oil layer, and then you would continue on with the layering process. In order to make this a more simple approach for beginners that are just starting out and just want to create something just quickly, I didn't do that with the oil paint. I progressed on to adding the detail straight away. And my technique in allowing me to do this is focused very much on the weight of the pigments that we're using, whether or not they're opaque, how much of it we're applying to the painting itself. So I focus very much on those techniques. The acrylic paint version is one where I'm able to add quite a lot of detail straight away. And I focus on quite a lot of layering back and forth between midtones and darker tones and sort of using the opaque nature of certain pigments to create the layers that I then push back with darker tones and build up again with lighter tones. That layering approach ends up creating an effect of depth that makes the acrylic look like it's been blended. So with the acrylic painting, we see a lot more detail happening a lot earlier on, especially when it comes to the beak and the eye. I wasn't actually able to see a lot of what I was painting during this process because the glare from the lights was coming right back at me, but I couldn't lean too far forward because then I would block the camera. However, the lights had to be at that angle so that there was no glare reflected to the camera view. So the difference between the eyes that you see between these two paintings is simply because I couldn't see what I was doing. And I just sort of guesstimated that it was around about the right sort of spot. So the main difference there is simply a technical error, or not really an error, just a hurdle that I had to overcome. So a lot of people commented that the eye and the oil painting one was better and there was more expression, more life, etc. That it was actually the result of the oil painting, but really, no, it was me. I literally couldn't see what I was painting. So that is why the main difference between the oil and the acrylic painting is so significant. So ultimately, we've got the two portraits. They turn out very similar to one another. We're able to create a realistic painting for both acrylic and oils in one day. For the oil painting, it's simplified to one sitting. For the acrylic, it's simplified and broken up into 7 layers or 7 stages of the application in the acrylic paint. For the oil paint, it's broken down into 3 phases: the blocking in, the detail, and the finishing touches. So if you would like to check out these tutorials, get the color mixes, the step-by-step approach, etc., then head over to my tutorial platform where you can watch the whole thing, either as part of the subscription or as an individual tutorial, which once you purchase is yours to have unlimited access to. So if you would like to see more from me, then please hit share and comment, etc. You know what to do. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you for being here. Bye.